I touched the hotel mirror. And my finger didn't have a reflection. The tip of my index finger pressed against the cold glass, but there was no gap. I stared at it, my breath hitching in my throat, waiting for the physics of light to correct itself. Usually, when you touch a standard mirror, there is a tiny space between your fingertip and its reflection, the thickness of the glass surface. But here, in room 4 of the Gilded Oak Boutique Inn, my finger touched its twin directly. Point to point. Flesh to phantom flesh. I pulled my hand back as if the mirror had burned me. I stood there in the silence of the room, the only sound the aggressive ticking of a vintage clock on the wall and the blood rushing in my ears like a white noise machine turned up to maximum volume. It was a two-way mirror. And it was positioned directly across from the bed. I took a step back, the plush carpet swallowing the sound of my boots. I looked around the room. It was charming. Rustic. Exposed brick, heavy velvet curtains, an antique armoire that smelled of cedar and history. It was the kind of place you book for a solo weekend to decompress, to drink wine and read books and forget that your job is slowly eating your soul. I had checked in 20 minutes ago. I hadn't even unpacked my suitcase. It was sitting by the door, a hard-shell carry-on that suddenly looked less like luggage and more like a life raft. "Don't panic," I whispered. My voice sounded thin, brittle. "Maybe it's just old glass. Maybe it's a manufacturing defect." But I knew. Deep down in the reptile part of my brain, the part that raises the hair on your arms when you're being hunted, I knew. I grabbed my phone from the bedspread. I turned off the overhead chandelier. The room plunged into a heavy, twilight gloom, illuminated only by the streetlights filtering through the sheer inner curtains. I walked back to the mirror. It was huge, framed in ornate, heavy gold leaf. It looked like something out of a fairy tale. I turned on my phone's flashlight. I pressed the lens flush against the glass. I squinted, blocking out the side glare with my cupped hand. At first, I saw nothing. Just the harsh flare of the LED reflecting back at me. But then, I shifted the angle. Just a fraction of an inch. There was a glint. It wasn't a reflection. It was a source. A tiny, unblinking eye staring back from the darkness behind the wall. A lens. I stumbled back, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I felt sick. Physically, violently sick. I had undressed in front of mirrors 1,000 times in my life. I had never once thought to check them. I only checked this one because of a video I scrolled past at 3 a.m. 3 nights ago. A random, 15-second clip that saved my life. I looked at the mirror again. It wasn't just a piece of glass anymore. It was a window. And someone was on the other side. I needed to be sure. I needed proof. If I called the police and I was wrong, I was the crazy girl destroying a small business. If I was right. I walked to the side of the heavy frame. I dug my fingers into the gap between the gold wood and the exposed brick wall. It was heavy. Solid. But it shifted. I pulled. The mirror didn't swing out on hinges. It wasn't a medicine cabinet. It was mounted on a track. It slid. With a grinding sound of metal on metal that screamed through the quiet room, the mirror moved 2 inches to the left. And there it was. A rectangular hole, cut with surgical precision into the drywall. And sitting inside that dark cavity, mounted on a small tripod bracket screwed into the stud, was a camera. It wasn't a battery-operated spy cam you buy on Amazon. It wasn't a nanny cam. It was a high-end, hardwired surveillance unit. A thick gray Ethernet cable ran from the back of the camera, drilled through the stud, and disappeared deep into the infrastructure of the building. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a previous guest leaving something behind. This was architecture. The red light on the camera wasn't blinking. It was solid. It was recording. Or worse. It was streaming. I let go of the mirror. It slid back into place with a thud. I backed away. I kept backing away until my back hit the door. I reached for the handle, my hands shaking so bad I couldn't find the lock at first. I needed to get out. But if I ran, would he know? If he was watching, did he see me find it? Was he coming up the stairs right now? I stopped. I forced myself to breathe. In for 4. Out for 4. I looked at the Ethernet cable in my mind. Hardwired. That meant it went somewhere. It went to a router. It went to a server. I pulled out my phone. I didn't open Uber. I opened the camera app. Video mode. I narrated in a whisper. I am in room 4. I just found a camera behind the mirror. I walked back. I slid the mirror open again. I filmed the camera. I filmed the cable. I filmed the hole in the wall. Then I grabbed my suitcase. I didn't check out. I didn't go to the front desk. I walked out into the hallway, locked the door behind me, and sat on the floor in the corridor, right under the fire sprinkler, clutching my phone like a weapon. I dialed 911. Emergency, the dispatcher said. I found a camera, I said. In my hotel room. Behind a two-way mirror. It's hardwired into the wall. Are you safe? I'm in the hall. I don't know who is watching it. Please. Send someone. Stay where you are. Units are rolling. I sat there, staring at the door of room 4. The number was painted on a cute little porcelain plaque. It looked so innocent. Then, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, slow footsteps. Intermission. What happens in the next 20 minutes isn't just a police raid, it is the unraveling of a nightmare that has been running silently for years. You might think the owner is just going to claim ignorance. You might think he'll say a rogue employee did it. But the Ethernet cable tells a different story. Cables don't lie. They lead to a source. And the source of this feed isn't in a cloud server halfway across the world, it is directly beneath my feet. By the time Officer Miller kicks down the door to the private office, on the ground floor, I won't just be a victim, I'll be the key witness to a digital dungeon. But the most terrifying part? When the police rush past me, they aren't just going to arrest a man. They are going to find a laptop screen that is still glowing. And on that screen, in high definition, is a live view of the room I just left, and 2 other rooms that are currently occupied. Back to story. The footsteps got louder. I scrambled to my feet, dragging my suitcase back, putting distance between me and the stairwell. I held my phone up, ready to record, ready to scream. A head popped up over the railing. It wasn't the owner. It was a police officer. Officer Miller. He was breathless, his hand resting on his holster. He saw me standing there, pale and shaking. Ma'am? You the one who called? Yes, I exhaled, the tension leaving my body so fast I almost collapsed. It's in there. Room 4. Miller motioned for his partner to follow. They walked up the hall. Stay here, he ordered. I watched them key into the room. I watched the door swing open. I heard Miller swear. Jesus, he muttered. That's affirmative. He came back out a moment later. His face was grim. You touched the mirror? I slid it. To see behind it. Okay. Don't touch anything else. We need to preserve the scene. Did you see the owner? He checked me in, I said. Mr. Henderson. Older guy. Gray hair. Glasses. He was really nice. He carried my bag. The memory made my skin crawl. He had carried my bag. He had unlocked the door. He had smiled and told me, room 4 is our quietest suite. You'll love the privacy. Privacy. Where is he? Miller asked. Downstairs. There's an office behind the front desk. It says, private. Miller tapped his radio. Dispatch, We have a confirmed device. Hardwired. I need a detective and a tech unit. We are moving to secure the premises. He looked at me. Come with us. Stay behind me. We walked down the stairs. The lobby was empty. The check-in bell sat silent on the desk. The door to the office was closed. Miller didn't knock. He tried the handle. Locked. Police. Miller shouted, banging on the wood. Open the door. We heard a crash inside. The sound of a chair falling over. Then the frantic clicking of a keyboard. He's deleting it, I screamed. He's wiping the drive. Miller didn't wait. He stepped back and kicked the door. It hit the frame with a crack but didn't open. He kicked it again, harder, right near the lock. The wood splintered. The door flew inward. Mr. Henderson was sitting at a massive desk in the dark, illuminated only by the glow of 3 monitors. He was frantically dragging files into the trash bin on his desktop. Hands! Miller roared, drawing his weapon. Let me see your hands. Step away from the computer. Henderson froze. He looked at the cop. He looked at me standing in the doorway. He looked like a deer caught in the headlights, if the deer was wearing a cardigan and had a hard drive full of felonies. He slowly raised his hands. It's not what it looks like, Henderson stammered. It's for security. Liability. Guests break things. Step away. Miller grabbed him by the shoulder and spun him around, slamming him against the file cabinets. The handcuffs clicked. I walked into the room. I couldn't help myself. I looked at the screens. The center monitor was split into a grid. 4 squares. Top left, room 4. My room. Empty now, the mirror slid aside, the hole in the wall gaping like a wound. Top right, room 2. A couple was unpacking. The woman was holding up a dress. The man was laughing. They had no idea. Bottom left, room 5. A woman. Alone. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, talking on the phone. She was unbuttoning her blouse. Oh my God, I whispered. Get them out. I yelled at Miller's partner. Room 2 and room 5. Get them out now. The partner ran. I heard him pounding up the stairs. I heard the shouting. I watched on the screen as the couple in room 2 froze, looking toward their door. I watched as the woman in room 5 jumped up, clutching her shirt closed. Henderson was panting, pressed against the cabinets. I have a right to protect my property. They sign a waiver. They don't sign a waiver for the bathroom, Miller said, looking at a stack of external hard drives labeled with dates. I looked closer at the screen. The file explorer was open. Henderson hadn't managed to delete much. There were folders. Thousands of them. Room 4, January 2026. Room 4, December 2025. Room 4, solo. He had categorized them. He had tagged them. Solo, I read aloud. You targeted us. I looked at the booking records on the desk. A paper ledger. He highlighted the names. Emma. Sarah. Jessica. All solo female travelers. All assigned to room 4 or room 5. You monster, I said. Miller hauled him up. You have the right to remain silent. Do it. They dragged him out. I stood there in the office, the nerve center of his perversion. The heat from the servers under the desk was palpable. He had built a data center to harvest moments of privacy. A detective arrived 10 minutes later. He put on gloves. He unplugged the internet cable from the wall to stop any remote wiping, but he left the computers running for the forensic team. Did you touch anything? The detective asked me. Just the mirror upstairs, I said. And I filmed it. Good, he said. Send me that video. It establishes the timeline. I walked out to the lobby. The other guests were there now. The couple from room 2 looked shell-shocked. The woman from room 5 was crying, wrapped in a hotel blanket, shaking. He was watching me, she sobbed. I was changing. I sat down next to her. I know. I'm sorry. How did you find it? The man from room 2 asked me. We didn't see anything. I checked, I said. I saw a video online. About the fingernail test. You saved us, the woman said. He would have put that on the internet. The thought hit me then. The cloud. He was uploading it, I said, remembering the upload bar I saw on the screen before Miller grabbed him. Some of it is online. The detective walked out of the office. We're going to need statements from everyone. And, we're going to need to seize any devices he might have accessed. Did anyone connect to the Wi-Fi? We all nodded. Change your passwords, the detective said. Right now. If he was capturing keystrokes, just change everything. I spent the next 4 hours at the police station. I gave my statement. I watched them bag Henderson's laptop. They told me later what they found. It wasn't just videos. He was selling them. There was a dark web portal bookmarked on his browser. He had a subscription service. People paid to watch the live feed from room 4. I had been live. For 20 minutes. I felt a wave of nausea so strong I had to put my head between my knees. Thousands of eyes. Watching me test the mirror. Watching me panic. Watching me realize they existed. But then, the detective told me something else. We found a file, he said. From 6 months ago. A guest named Chloe. Who is she? She stayed in room 4, the detective said. She posted a video on TikTok about the hotel. She said she felt weird and watched, but she couldn't find anything. She checked the vents. She checked the smoke detector. But she didn't check the mirror. That video, I whispered. That's the one I saw. You saw her video? Yes. It came up on my feed 3 days ago. That's why I did the test. Because she said she felt watched. The algorithm. The random, chaotic algorithm of the internet had served me a warning from a past victim, and I had listened. She was right, the detective said. He has 40 hours of footage of her. You have to tell her, I said. We will. We're contacting everyone in the ledger. It's going to be a massive case. Class action. Criminal. Everything. I left the station at midnight. I didn't stay in a hotel. I drove home. I drove 4 hours through the dark, checking my rearview mirror every 10 seconds, feeling like the eyes were still on me. I got home. I covered every mirror in my apartment with a towel. I unplugged my router. The news broke the next morning. Boutique hotel owner arrested in massive voyeurism sting. They showed his mugshot. Henderson looked small. Pathetic. The hotel was boarded up. Crime scene tape wrapped around the charming brick pillars. I got a call from a lawyer a week later. A class action suit was forming. We have over 50 victims identified so far, the lawyer said. The footage goes back 3 years. I'm in, I said. Emma, the lawyer added. You're the lead plaintiff. Because you found the hardware. You found the physical proof that links him to the intent. Without that cable, he might have argued it was wireless interference or a hacker. But the drill holes? The wiring? That's him. I'm not a hero. I'm just a girl who watches too much TikTok. But I realized something. Paranoia isn't a weakness. It's a survival skill. I went back to the TikTok video that saved me. Chloe's video. I commented on it. You were right. He was watching. I found it. He's in jail. Her reply came 5 minutes later. Chloe, oh my God. Thank you. I thought I was crazy. Me, you weren't crazy. You were just early. I still travel. But I don't stay in boutique hotels anymore. I stay in big chains. Boring, corporate chains with corporate accountability. And every time I walk into a room, before I unpack, before I take off my coat, I walk to the mirror. I put my finger against the glass. And I wait for the gap. Because I know now that the scariest monsters aren't hiding under the bed. They're hiding in the walls, waiting for you to turn off the lights. So, tell me. Am I the monster for shutting down a business and ruining a man's life over a piece of glass, or did I just break the only mirror that actually mattered?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.